All right, let's get into it. Every house has a story, right? But the really important parts, they're not in the photos you hang on the wall. Nope, they're hidden, underground, in this whole network of pipes that can literally make or break your home. So today, we're kind of going to be detectives. We're going to use a case study from Slidell, Louisiana, to uncover the hidden story of your home.
So let me ask you a question. When you think about the single biggest threat to your home, what pops into your head? A big storm? A fire, maybe? Well, for a lot of us, the most common and, yeah, the most costly disasters actually start with something we can't even see.
I mean, this is the stuff that keeps you up at night, right? The absolute nightmare of a burst pipe flooding your garage, well, let's be honest, the disgusting mess of a sewer backup. Or maybe it's something a little sneakier, like a water bill that suddenly just doubles for no reason. Or that mysterious water stain that just appears on the ceiling one day. But here's the twist. All of those fears, they're just the symptoms. The real cause, the true story of why this stuff happens, it's often this mix of geography, climate, and plain old history, and it's all buried, literally, right under your feet. And to really get this, we're going to zero in on one place, Slidell, Louisiana. It is the perfect example of a town that has to run this unique plumbing gauntlet. It shows exactly why your specific address, your little spot on the map, matters way more than you could ever imagine. So let's start with the ground itself. In a place like Slidell, the water table is super high, which means underground pipes are constantly being squeezed. Then you've got this clay soil that shifts and moves, and what does it do? It cracks sewer lines. Oh, and let's not forget the humidity from being so close to Lake Pontchartrain, plus the stress from all those storms. You put it all together, and you've basically got a recipe for some serious underground warfare. And it's not just the ground. The very air and the water itself are part of the problem. That crazy high humidity, it just makes metal pipes rust so much faster. And the water coming out of the tap, well, it's packed with minerals. This is what we call hard water, and it creates this scale that clogs up everything from your shower head to, and this is a big one, your water heater, just dramatically shortening its lifespan. So, okay, you've got pressure coming up from the ground, you've got attacks from the water itself. Now, let's add a third layer to this whole challenge: time. We're talking about old pipes and what is really a slow-motion invasion happening right beneath your feet. See, in places like Slidell, a ton of homes went up during that big building boom back in the 60s and 70s. And the materials they used back then, well, they're now hitting the absolute end of their life. And worse, they're failing in this really sneaky, inside-out kind of way. The main culprit here is something called galvanized steel pipe. For decades, this was the go-to stuff. It's just a steel pipe with a protective zinc coating on it. Simple, right? Well, here's the problem. That zinc coating wears away over time, and when it's gone, the steel is totally exposed to water, and it just starts to rust from the inside out. And this internal rust, it just builds up year after year, decade after decade, narrowing the pipe until it looks exactly like a clogged artery for your house. Your water pressure drops down to a trickle, the water quality gets worse, all because the system is literally choking itself to death. I mean, when you put the old and the new side by side, the difference is it's night and day. On one hand, you have the galvanized steel with its 40 to 50-year lifespan, and it's just prone to all these problems we've been talking about. But then you have modern PEX piping. This stuff is a flexible polymer that totally resists corrosion, it can handle shifting soil, and it keeps your water pressure strong for over 50 years. It's not just an improvement, it's a complete evolution in the technology. Okay, so the problems are pretty clear, right? You've got geography, water chemistry, and just plain old age. But the good news is the solutions have evolved too. We've gone from just guessing what's wrong to using precision science to know for sure. And this is the absolute game changer. Modern professionals, they don't guess anymore. They use tools like these tiny fiber optic cameras to actually go inside your pipes and show you exactly what's going on. You see the tree roots, you see the crack, you see the corrosion. It takes this invisible problem and turns it into cold, hard evidence you can see with your own eyes. And you know what? This evidence-based approach has completely changed the whole service process. It's not some big mystery anymore. It's a clear, three-step system. They dispatch someone fast, they get a precise diagnosis using those tools and give you an upfront price, and then they do a verified repair. That transparency, man, it takes so much of the stress out of the situation for a homeowner. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds a little bit like a sales pitch, but here's what's so cool about it. We can actually flip it. We can take the standards of what a good professional does and turn it into an actionable checklist for any homeowner, no matter where you live. Think of this as your power tool. Here are the 4 things you always want to look for. 1. Upfront, flat rate pricing. This stops any nasty surprises. 2. Proof they're licensed and insured. This protects you. 3. They use video diagnostics, so you actually see the problem before you pay a dime. And 4. A real written warranty. If a plumber you're thinking of hiring shows any red flags here, like they're being vague about hourly rates or they won't show you proof of the problem, just walk away. Seriously. All right, so let's bring this all back home. We've dug into the geography, the materials, the modern solutions, and it all leads to one final, really empowering idea. And this really is the most important takeaway from all of this. Your best tool is knowledge. Just understanding the story of your house, when it was built, where it's located, and what materials were used, that is the absolute key. That knowledge is what lets you go from being reactive and frankly fearful to being proactive and prepared. Your home's history, that becomes your prevention plan. So we've unpacked the story of homes in Slidell, but really, these lessons apply just about everywhere. So the final question isn't about their homes anymore. It's about yours. Do you know the story that's buried right beneath your own home?